Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media. Hope everyone had a great college football Saturday. I sure did. I'm going to be honest. Um, I've really only watched the Alabama game, and quite honestly, some of what other game was it? Was it like Oklahoma State, Houston? I don't know. Arizona, Utah. We had a couple great games. Um, Keeping an eye on right now, Washington, Oregon State at Kansas State, where Kansas has the ball in the third, a shootout, 27-24, as I record this. That being said, let's talk about Alabama. I do not want to do film review. I would love to do that, but trying to get monetized and everything, I'm trying to cut back on copyright claims. So I'm not going to share anything as far as video, but I will share screen ESPN so we can look at the box score and everything for the game. 66-10 is the final. Alabama rolls past Chattanooga 66-10 for the final home win of 2023. How about seniors like Malachi Moore and company? Kool-Aid McKinstry is a junior, but we assume this is his last home game. I would assume he's going to want to go pro. That's just an assumption. Jermaine Burton is a senior for Alabama, but of course a Georgia transfer. So it's kind of senior day being the final home game for Alabama. As we get into this game and we break it down, I do want to mention the Iron Bowl will take place next week at Jordan-Hare Stadium, 2:30 Central kickoff time on the Plains, and Auburn will go into this game 6-5, falling short to New Mexico State, but getting that Arkansas win a couple weeks ago, securing bowl eligibility. It's going to be interesting to see that game play out because you got probably a ticked off Auburn team looking for some vengeance to end the season on a high note. And you got Alabama coming off a big win over Chattanooga. Are they going to get a little complacent? We'll find out next Saturday. We got a lot of great stuff coming your way as far as the Iron Bowl. Let's go ahead and share screen here. Again, I get this from ESPN.com. I try to be careful with screen sharing nowadays because, again, we're trying to get the channel monetized and everything. I know they review the channel, and I don't know what they consider copyright as far as sharing a website page. So this is sports related. This is ESPN. We're going to put it up here. Usually I just roll with it, but we're going to try to be careful tonight. 66-10, the final from Tuscaloosa. I look at this game. I say, okay, Alabama rolls past Chattanooga. What's the big deal? Well, it's the big deal for the seniors. Final home game, right? You want to go off on a high note. Some big plays that happened. I'm going to say this. It really started for the defense. They started out pretty good in the first quarter, but how about with 8:34 left to go in the half? In the second quarter, Christian Story, the corner, picked off Luke Schomburg of Chattanooga. Got a pick, went airborne, fell on the ground. He's okay, though. Nothing bad happened there. This was a game that Alabama was meant to win. The question was, how many points do they want going into the game? We will talk about what Chattanooga did well against Alabama because there were some good moments for them. It just was one of those things you knew that they were not going to match up, right? Alabama wins 66-10, and they, of course, pull it off against Chattanooga. I don't know if I want to say pull it off. I don't think that's the right terminology here for the number 8 team in the country against a unranked team. But I will say Chattanooga, going into this game, 7-3. They take their 4th loss of the year. So Chattanooga, where they play, they're no pushover team. And their losses were to UNA. They beat teams like Samford. They played teams like the Citadel. They lost to Western Carolina. They lost to Furman, and now they've lost to Alabama. Now they play, as this pulls up here, I want to make sure I get this correct, in the Southern Conference. And they sit just behind Furman, who is 7-1 in conference play, 9-2 overall. Good team. Chattanooga is 7-4 overall, 6-2 in conference play. So that's who Alabama played today. The two scores for the 10 points Chattanooga got: Geno Appleberry got a 40-yard run. The lead running back, lead rusher today, had a 40-yard touchdown run that Alabama gave up in the second quarter with 3:39 to go. After that, the following drive for Alabama, Malik Benson would answer for the Tide from 20 yards out from Jalen Milroe. Will Riker gets the PAT. And getting back to Chattanooga real quick in the third, they hit a field goal from Clayton Cryle from 23 yards out. And, of course, the rest was for Alabama. They scored 4 touchdowns, 2 in the third, 2 in the fourth. By the way, they had 3 back in the first quarter. Jermaine Burton, 5 yards out. Jace McClellan, 2 yards. Roydell, 11 yards. So they were trying to move the ball down the field. It took them some time, not very explosive. When I say explosive, I'm talking about you could drop bombs, 80, 75 yards, and you're gone. It wasn't like that to begin with. They had some big shots downfield that set them up to score, but they didn't just take it to the house. It wasn't like that. So, and is that disappointing? I don't want to say it was disappointing, but you kind of expect a little bit more at this point in the season from Alabama, late November, and especially against Chattanooga. But Chattanooga's got some good players, and they have pretty solid defense. So, of course, they're going to hold Alabama a little bit, right? So, I read an article, give credit here, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Go check them out. They got great work. How the matchup versus Chattanooga showed bright future for Alabama's running back room. I think it did. Jamarian Miller, we call him Jam. So here's what Alabama had rushing. They had 5 touchdowns and 315 yards. But they talk about, and it's funny because Jace McClellan has been the go-to guy, him and a guy in Roydell Williams. But what they talked about was the younger, talented freshman. They talked about Jam Miller and then Justice Haynes. Where has he been? He balled out in the spring, and then he played a little bit against, I think, Middle Tennessee. But that's it. I mean, not very many games for him. But he did great. He received the most opportunities to start his career against Chattanooga. Displayed power and speed to the tune of 42 yards rushing on 5 attempts, including 2 touchdowns. He had a 33-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. And it goes on. So, and again, I'm reading that article from Stephen M. Smith on touchdownalabama.com. Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Love the channel. Go check them out. If you are a college football fan that just loves great content, I recommend Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And if you're, of course, an Alabama fan like myself. So, I don't have much else to say for this Chattanooga recap other than the team looked amazing. They looked great. But it's Chattanooga. I want to see this type of performance every week from Alabama. We all do. Like, where's the ultimate team from 2020? Where's the 2018 team with Tua Tagovailoa? You got Jalen Miller this year. You got Roydell Williams, right? You got all these guys, and they're great. They just don't have that. I I don't. I'm gonna say this. This team is good. It's clicking at the right time. Can they get Georgia in 2 weeks? It's possible. It's very possible. Don't sit there and say it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to. It's possible. Maybe they're saving some stuff for Georgia. I don't know. They could heat up at any given moment. But I'm not basing this team off Chattanooga. I'm just not. Nobody should. 66-10. I predicted 52-3. I was off by 14 points for Alabama and 7 for Chattanooga. Honestly, I'll take it. That's not bad. They did better than I thought they would. Therefore, I give them their props. So, I want to hear from you guys, Alabama fans. What are your thoughts on this game? What are the takeaways? I took away that this team is explosive against the right team. But again, I just have so many questions. I mean, are the right guys even playing for Alabama? I do think it's Jalen Milroe's show. But, I mean, Jamarian Miller and company, come on. Do we even have the right running backs? Where's Roydell been? It's ridiculous. It's crazy. They're good. Have we been hiding this talent in Tuscaloosa? Are we waiting for that moment? Maybe against Auburn next week? Maybe against Georgia in a couple weeks? Are we waiting for that moment to shine? I don't know. Hope you enjoyed this recap of the game. 66-10 is the final from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Alabama rolls past Chattanooga 66-10 for the final home win of 2023. Want to congratulate all the seniors. Too many to name. I know Will Reichard's out there, man. Lead scorer in college football history and Alabama history as far as kicking goes. Man, he's been phenomenal. I cried a few times just seeing him, kind of take take some shots as a kicker. He's done great. You got let me look up some guys here. I think Chris Braswell, senior, final home game today for him. A lot of young talent on the defense. That's why it's so hard to find the seniors on here. You got a lot of young receivers and everything. It's just a young team. But there are a few seniors out there that I named and mentioned. And if I didn't mention any, I apologize. Y'all are all doing so well this year. Chase McClellan running the football. He's got over 600 yards. He's got 5 touchdowns off 145 carries. Guy's amazing. There's so much talent on this Alabama team. Can they win a championship? They do have to get past Auburn. Then they got to get past Georgia. And they're in the playoffs at least. I believe in them. Let's see if all the other Alabama fans believe in them too. Show up and show out. Man, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I know they're calling for all the Auburn fans at Jordan-Hare Stadium next week. But Bama fans, y'all got to show up. I'm not going. But y'all show up, man. Get loud. Disrupt the Auburn faithful. Turn it upside down. Give Alabama a reason to go in there and win the game. I love you guys. Iron Bowl week next week. Rivalry week in general. We got some great college football previews such as Michigan, Ohio State, Clemson, South Carolina coming your way. I love you guys. Y'all have a good night. God bless. God loves you. And roll tide. We'll see you next time.